Attention passionate Detroit, Lions fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Detroit Lions' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Detroit Lions fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Detroit Lions fans. Let's get to the news now, folks. I hope you're sitting down because what we're about to discuss has the potential to shake up not just the NFC North, but the entire NFL landscape. And if you're a Lions fan, you know how crucial every move is as we gear up for what promises to be an exciting season. Recently, there's been a lot of buzz about Tyreek Hill, the Miami Dolphins wide receiver, and the possibility of him changing teams. It's not just idle chatter, there's real speculation, and it's coming from credible sources like ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. The interesting part, it's all reignited by some recent comments and questions about his relationship with Tua Tagovailoa, which has led NFL insiders and teams to keep a close watch on his situation. Now, for those of you who might not be fully tuned in, Tyreek Hill has been one of the most electrifying players in the league since he arrived in Miami. His speed, agility, and ability to take the top off defenses make him a game changer. But last season, Hill made some headlines when he said he wanted out of Miami, sparking a lot of speculation about his future. He later walked back those comments, trying to downplay the rumors. But in the world of the NFL, whispers can quickly turn into loud rumors. And that's exactly what's been happening lately. According to Fowler and other NFL insiders, multiple teams are monitoring Hill's situation closely, even if Miami isn't actively shopping him. The idea is that, if the right offer comes along, Miami might be tempted to make a deal. And here's where it gets interesting for us, the Lions fans. Recently, Sportsnaut's Andrew Bullerus put out a list of potential landing spots for Hill if he were to be traded. And surprisingly, the list included some teams that might seem obvious, but also some that might catch you off guard. Among those teams, the Kansas City Chiefs, the San Francisco 49ers, the Las Vegas Raiders, and the Arizona Cardinals. Now, naturally, when you look at the Detroit Lions, a lot of fans might be wondering, could Detroit be in the mix? I mean, we're always looking to add explosive playmakers, right? But the truth is, the Lions already have a strong duo in Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams. They've got a solid young core of receivers, and the last thing they need is to break the bank for another big-name wideout, especially one with Hill's age and hefty contract. In fact, it's quite unlikely that the Lions would consider trading for Hill. Why? Because Jameson Williams, despite some ups and downs, is seen as a key piece for the future, and the Lions front office, led by Brad Holmes, has shown a clear willingness to develop their young talent rather than spend big on veteran stars. Holmes has been strategic with the team's cap space and roster moves, and acquiring a 31-year-old receiver with a significant contract wouldn't align with their current philosophy. So no, Detroit fans, don't hold your breath for Hill in Honolulu blue and silver. That simply doesn't make sense for this team right now. But what about the other teams on that list? Well, the San Francisco 49ers make a lot of sense on paper, especially if they're willing to make a bold move. The Niners are always in the championship conversation, and with a quarterback like Brock Purdy continuing to develop, adding an elite receiver like Hill could push them over the top. The catch? The 49ers would likely have to part ways with Brandon Ayuk, who, despite some injury concerns, like starting camp on the PUP list, remains a valuable asset. Miami might be open to that deal if they believe Ayuk's health isn't going to be reliable or if they're looking to shake things up. But let's be honest, trading Ayuk, who's young and talented, isn't a decision they'd take lightly, and it depends heavily on the health status of Ayuk in training camp. Now, moving to the Kansas City Chiefs, the team Hill left after the trade that made headlines. The Chiefs are in a bit of a tricky spot. They have promising young receivers like Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy, but neither has yet established themselves as true game changers at the NFL level. Rice is coming off a serious injury, and there's some concern about his suspension looming, which complicates their depth chart. Plus, with Travis Kelce potentially entering a decline phase, the Chiefs could be looking at ways to bolster their receiving core. Hill's familiarity with Kansas City's system and his proven ability to deliver in big moments make him an attractive option, especially since the Chiefs haven't really replaced him after trading him away. So, a trade for Hill could be a strategic move for Kansas City, but it would depend on whether they're willing to part with draft capital or other assets to bring him back. And then, there's the Arizona Cardinals, an interesting team because they're in a bit of a rebuild but could use a proven veteran like Hill to help open things up for a young quarterback or a rising star like Marvin Harrison Jr. if they go that route. Hill's speed and playmaking ability could be exactly what they need to jumpstart their offense and give their young quarterback a reliable target. But again, the question is whether Arizona is in a position to make such a move, especially considering their current roster construction. They're not quite in win-now mode, but adding a player like Hill could accelerate their rebuild. And what about the Las Vegas Raiders? Well, they're a team that's been trying to find consistency on offense, especially behind Brock Bowers and Jacoby Meyers. They've got some shaky options at wide receiver, and adding a player of Hill's caliber could give them a much-needed boost. But again, teams usually make such moves when they're a piece or two away from contending, and right now, the Raiders are still trying to figure things out. Still, if they see Hill as that missing piece, it wouldn't be shocking to see them make a push. Now let's pause here for a second. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Detroit Lions news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. So what does all this mean for the Lions? Well, honestly, it's unlikely to impact us directly because our team is built differently. We've got a clear plan, a young core that we believe in, and a front office that's focused on sustainable growth. But what's fascinating is seeing how these potential trades could reshape the NFL landscape, and it's always worth keeping an eye on how moves like these could impact our division rivals or even open up opportunities for us down the line. In terms of the Lions' current roster, we're in a very strong position. Amon-Ra St. Brown has established himself as one of the league's top receivers, and with Jameson Williams returning from his suspension, our receiving core is looking more dynamic than ever. Jared Goff, who has been quietly rebounding and proving doubters wrong, now has a solid group of weapons to work with. The team's defense, under the guidance of head coach Dan Campbell and defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn, has shown signs of improvement, and the overall vibe around Detroit is one of confidence and momentum. The front office has been smart with draft picks and cap management, ensuring we're not just competing this year but building for sustained success. Looking ahead, the Lions are setting their sights on another deep playoff run, possibly even a Super Bowl appearance. The NFC North is getting more competitive every year, especially with teams like the Minnesota Vikings making moves to bolster their roster, and the Green Bay Packers always lurking with their young talent and strategic approach. But Detroit has been making bold moves, continuously improving, and establishing a winning culture that's hard to match. The addition of a star wide receiver like Tyreek Hill, while unlikely for us, was a hypothetical that got many talking, but ultimately, it highlights how aggressive teams are in trying to find that next big piece to push them over the edge. And let's not forget, the NFL is a league of surprises. Sometimes, a trade or a signing that seems unlikely at first can become the turning point for a team's season. The Lions are in a prime position to capitalize on this momentum, with a talented roster, a motivated coaching staff, and a fan base that's more passionate than ever. The future is bright in Detroit, and while we might not be chasing after Hill or other big names right now, our focus remains on developing our young stars, building a strong team identity, and making sure we're competitive for years to come. So as we watch this space, stay tuned for more updates, because the NFL never sleeps, and neither do we when it comes to the Detroit Lions. We're all about staying ahead of the curve, analyzing every move, and sharing that passion with you. The excitement in Detroit is palpable, and whether it's a big trade, a draft pick, or a game-winning play, we're here to bring it all to you in the most natural, engaging way possible. Remember, this is a team on the rise, and every little piece of news, every rumor, every development is part of their journey to greatness. And for us, the fans, that makes every season worth the wait. So keep your eyes peeled, stay loyal, and let's keep the Lions roaring loud and proud. And now, Detroit Lions fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Detroit Lions. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Detroit Lions news.